All right. It's been a while.
I know it's been like what, almost 3 weeks, right?
I think at
I
least
think,
3 weeks.
yeah, because I know we usually do like every other week, and
Yeah.
I think for some reason it didn't. I think I lost track of time last week. I was busy last week, or no, I wasn't actually. I wasn't busy. What it was is Vanessa was out of town, so it was only me all weekend. So I was just like
Mhm.
hanging out with my dog, and I like took the dog walking like constantly. I was just like kind of sitting at home like by myself, bored, and I was like, I'm just gonna let's go out for a walk, and then we go for
Just
a walk, and I
come
come
back.
back and like play a game for a little bit or watch a movie, and then like let's go out for another walk. Like I don't. This is weird being in the house by myself
Mhm.
with one dog. So half my household was gone last weekend, which would have ideally been the perfect time to do a podcast, but I just didn't even think about
It would, except I was
it.
in Bellevue, Washington last weekend.
Oh,
So
okay.
that's why I didn't even reach
Oh,
out.
okay.
I
Yeah.
welcome to the Fleeting Thoughts
Oh,
podcast.
yeah, yeah, of
If
course.
you're new to the podcast, welcome. And you're in for a treat. We got a great show today. We've got things planned. We've got
Yeah.
guests. We've got gifts. We've got gifs. We've got memes. We've
Sweepstakes.
got
We got
drinks. We've
giveaways.
got sweepstakes. We've got trees. We've got flowers. We've
And, you know,
got
we also
grass.
got a lot of lies. That's what we've got a lot
Lies.
of.
Yeah, we have done no prep for this. Um, and yeah, so last week I was doing my yearly Emerald Cup video for Mark Mason, who is a friend of mine. And every year my brother and myself and Mark, do the video and photography for the Emerald Cup. And it's a lot of fun. It's a 4 day kind of gig, 2 days of travel, and then 2 days of actual videography. My brother and I do the camera, the video camera stuff, and Mark does all the photography. And they had like, I don't know, close to 1,000 people over the course of 2 days doing uh, national physique competition stuff, which is amateur bodybuilding. And it's very interesting. I know way more about the bodybuilding world because of it, and I've been doing the video work for it for a long time. Um, it's essentially like a pageant, like a. Have you ever seen a bodybuilding competition or anything? Yeah, obviously you've seen bodybuilders, but
Yeah, I've never actually watched the competition. I feel like I've seen like clips of them from maybe like documentaries or something, but I've never like sat down and watched a competition.
yeah. It's boring. It's just real, like you're just looking at a person who's wearing a banana hammock, and they're
And
just
they fucking flexing.
fucking flexing, and you can tell that they haven't eaten in like a couple days, typically, at least not like a real meal.
Hmm.
And they drink like almost no water, and then they do things like right before the competition to like get rid of water so that their skin just shrinks around their muscles so that you can see their muscles. And they get tan, like crazy tan. They do the spray tan before the
Hmm.
competition so that you can see the muscles easier. And it's just, what is it, like 12 hours a day for 2 days of watching people who are just working on their fitness, just trying to be real fit from age 17 and up.
Hmm.
And
It's like
it
fitness, but it also sounds sort of unhealthy, you know,
see,
like
that was my impression from the look of everyone,
yeah.
because what they're doing is not a kind of athleticism that would lead toward a practical um scenario, like where
Hmm.
you need to like do a sport. It's not like sports conditioning. It's just how big can each muscle get? How big can my legs
Yeah.
get? How big can my arms get? How much can I just deadlift or bench press? Or and I'll, plenty of people are doing all sorts of supplements and drugs and stuff like that are not tested for. And they look like people who were enslaved to lift rocks 24/7. And if, and like lift stuff with their legs and their back and their
Yeah.
arms and their they have abs like crazy. But it doesn't feel like it's sustainable in a way that I think, but I don't know. I don't know enough about it. I think if you eat well enough, you get a lot of sleep. Like what happens if you stop working out? I don't know if that's
I
good.
feel like that. Yeah, I
You
think that
just
you just get really
shrink,
flabby. I
you
feel
get
like because you
flabby.
have yeah, it's just like you have all this like muscle mass, right? And then if you're not keeping it toned,
Yeah.
like it just
But
kind of
like muscles
droops
shrink
over time. Does
or
yeah?
they expand. Like you don't get new muscle. Like you just have muscle.
Do you think
And
that they get like like really obese people when they lose a bunch of weight, they have
that
to like
extra
get
skin.
surgeries to remove excess skin? I feel like it would be kind of the same thing if you were
I think if you stop working
muscular.
out, yeah,
It's a
you'll because
lot of
your
skin.
skin's gonna expand. You're gonna
Mm-hmm.
get sometimes if you do it too quickly or you lose too much weight too fast, you get a lot of stretch marks and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Um, uh, and some of them have that, but it's like your goal is to look like you worked out a lot. It's not like your goal is to like be able to lift a particular amount of weight or like a strongman competition, which is also not like super practical. But at least in strongman, it's like you have to lift a tire and push it over a bunch of times. Like in real life, maybe one day you'll have to lift a tire or something. But
Yeah, that's what I enjoy about working out myself is like that's why I run and then I have a total gym that I do like a 15-20 minute workout on like 4 times a week because I'm like I'm just looking for like to be healthy and have like a practical like being able to run 3 miles is great. It means I don't get fucking worn out and tired doing basic shit in my day-to-day life. And then like you doing the total gym, it's like it gives me kind of a baseline muscle building where it's like I can lift. I don't know. For me, I'm just like I just want to be practical and healthy. I'm not looking to
yeah,
like win a marathon or a bodybuilding competition. But I mean, I guess if that's what your passion and your goal is, then by all means.
yeah.
But
Well, and it's very addictive to do something and see results and see the way people react because people definitely react to like muscly
mhm.
people. It's there's an attractiveness to fit and toned and all of that stuff. And so you get a bunch of attention, you have discipline. It's very difficult. Like it's not easy to
No, not at
eat
all.
what they eat, drink what they drink, and lift weights, 5 hours a day or more.
Well, a lot of
Um,
it's like repetition, right? It's like you have to eat the same kinds of meals every
yeah,
day,
a lot
drink
of
the
times.
same stuff, and then you have the same workout. So it's like if you're a very regimented, strict person, I think it's easier. But yeah, if you can't stick to like a regimen like that, then it's going to be almost impossible to get any kind of real results
It
anyway.
it is impossible, and you have
Yeah.
to do it like all the time. And then they'll do different types of training, and a lot of people will do like isolation per day. So you do arms one day, chest one day, back one day, and
Hmm.
then you come back, because you want to push one muscle as much as you can, because that's how you build them to be big. And you stretch them and you break them and all that, and then you need a day to recover, so you can't do that same thing the next day. You have to do something else. So like one day you're just doing as much fucking arm stuff you can do, and you're just pushing it, and then eventually you have this crazy body that looks like you just lifted a shit ton of weights. And we put there's a lot of value on that in America,
Yeah.
especially, and all over the place. And it's like a symbol of like an ancient warrior. Like there's an archetype of this like buffed out fucking warrior who probably doesn't eat a lot, because back in the day people didn't eat as much as we do now, and who
Yeah.
just works manual labor all day. Like it's a manual labor body, is what it seems like. But it's also like the body of like a weird warrior who's can't fucking move their arms,
You're
which
right.
is why I think it's kind of funny. It's like way over and above what you would ever need for a fitness goal for a athlete, for a regular athletic goal. Um, but if your goal is to look like you lifted fuck tons of weight, you did.
Well,
You
and some of those guys that
show it.
win like the war like the world's strongest man competitions, they're not even like
Yeah, those guys. A lot
typically
of those guys are fat because they need
yeah,
weight
that's what I
to
mean.
move
They're not
weight.
like chiseled and ripped.
Yeah, some of them are.
They're fucking big and they're strong, obviously, but they're not like you look at him, you're like, oh, that guy he doesn't really look like the bodybuilder that you would associate in your
Yeah,
mind.
they're not the same.
Like the competitions, because like the competitions that you're talking about are mostly kind of aesthetic. It's like this is supposed to look
100%.
appealing, but it's
Yeah.
not like a practical strength. It's like it's
It's about like
all,
body fat.
yeah.
It's about size. It's about tone. It's about definition. It's about all
Hmm.
the different muscles that you have. Like if you have like really solid legs, but your arms aren't that defined, like you're not going to win. And a lot of them are trying to get to professional level. So this is how you get there, is by being, you go to enough, you win enough amateur stuff, and then you can get your pro card. Um, and I feel like I work out regularly and I have muscle, but then I was like looking at myself and comparing myself to these people, and I'm like,
Oh yeah,
God,
don't do that.
I don't look like I work out at all compared to these dudes.
Yeah.
And it made me kind of want to work out a little bit more, only because I recognize that their discipline is kind of amazing. Like
Hmm.
because it's a total lifestyle change. It's not like you can just do it like twice a week and then you're going to get what they get. They do a lot, and it's a lot of food. Like their food is, they got to be very careful what they eat if they really want to take it seriously. And it made me kind of like want to cut down on some of the fast food that I've been eating lately. I definitely gained a few pounds over the weekend because we went to fast food that whole weekend.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I was at like 155, which is the most I've been in years. And I was like, it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world to like be a little bigger and be a little bit more muscled. And so I'm kind of thinking about maybe working out a little bit more.
Hmm.
As much as I think that they're kind of ridiculous looking, some of them look fucking chiseled as
Cool.
fuck. Yeah, I want to kind of look kind of cool. I don't know. It's a little bit like if they can do it, I can do it at least a little bit.
Well, we're
But
kind of coming to
the
that
food
time
is
of
the hard part.
yeah, that food is like the biggest challenge for me.
Oh,
I was
it's
like,
so
I'm
tough.
disciplined for working out. Like I run 4 or 5Ks a week,
Yeah,
and I
you run
do
like
like,
crazy.
so it's like the exercises that I have that down pretty well. Like I
Yeah.
could improve. Like I could increase my distance and like have more
Well,
intensive
you'd have to do
weight,
like
like
weight
core
stuff.
training. Yeah.
Yeah, weight's
Because the
important.
total gym like works well enough, but I mean I could even do more with that. Like I could go for longer amounts of time and stuff, but it's the food that's like the hard thing, which I can stick to a really pretty like regimented diet for a little while, but I feel like after like 2 weeks I'm like, god damn, I'm so tired of this already. So it's tough, but we're also heading to that time of year too that I feel like I always get like fitness goal inspiration when
Mhm.
summer's kind of getting close because the weather's nice outside. So it's like I kind of already want to be outside doing things. And so I feel like every about this time every year I get really inspired and I end up
Yeah.
trying to like a whole new big workout routine that I do for a while. And
I think it would be kind of fun to why is this meeting will end in 10 minutes. Upgrade now to remove the 40-minute time limit. Oh, they finally did
oh,
it.
they cracked down
Oh,
on
do they have the
those
time limit?
sons
Okay,
of
we got
bitch.
9 minutes, and then we'll have to start over, and I'll have to fucking edit it. This will be part one. Oh, this is
Or
gonna
what?
suck, dude. We have to pay to fucking use Zoom now to
That's weird.
record.
Yeah.
We'll
Well,
see
we
if
got
it'll
away
let
with it for a
us.
while.
We'll see if it'll let us go to the next one. If
Maybe
you're
we'll just
listening,
keep going.
I don't think so. It says upgrade to pro. It's got a time limit on mine. Does it
Then
say that
ditch
on
it. Yeah,
yours?
it says time left
Yeah.
9 minutes, 20 seconds.
Oh, what a bitch. Anyway, I was gonna say it'd be kind of fun to take my shirt off at the river and have girls be like, "Ooh,
Ooh.
who's that guy? He's hot." I'm not kidding. Like that would be pretty exciting.
I mean, let's not kid ourselves. That's a big reason why
Like,
anybody usually really wants to lose weight and put some muscle on is
yeah,
because they want to be physically more
yeah,
attractive.
you just look better, and
That's you have
and
more confidence with
and
that, right?
absolutely, it's like a guy's version of makeup and heels, but um, it's like I used to think like, oh, I'm smart, I'm funny, that'll get the ladies. And I'm like, what am I thinking? I should be a dumb Goomba who's just fucking ripped, and that'll get the ladies.
Yeah.
What am I talking about?
Then you don't have to try to be clever. You don't have to be witty. You
No, I
can
don't have to
just,
come up with anything
yeah.
funny. Don't have to talk.
Not at all.
I don't even want to talk. Oh, now I'm finding out that my fucking laptop is going to turn off because its battery is getting low. Everything is fucked for this thing. I don't understand what's going on here. Our power went out the other day.
Oh shit.
My car got hit the other day. I got to pay to get that fixed.
Was it? Oh God. It's been an eventful few weeks for you. Now
Yeah.
your system's not working.
Somebody hit my car and like took off, and
of course they did.
I made a claim and I have to pay the deductible. It's like $500, but they like completely dented the left wheel fender area.
Like at the front or the rear? Or?
The front wheel, front.
How'd they hit you?
Driver's side.
Like run a stop sign?
It looks like they just like were trying to park and they just edged into the side of my car, low down by the door.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to get that fixed. That's whatever.
It happened to my truck before. I mean, that I had before, somebody like hit it while they were parking in a parking garage, and they didn't leave a note or anything, and they couldn't figure out who did it. So I just had this big scrape on the passenger side of my truck from some asshole who fucking hit me.
Yeah, that sucks. Did you get it fixed?
No.
Yeah.
It wasn't super dented in. It was just scraped. I could have taken it to a shop and like they could have probably buffed it out and touched it up and it would have been fine. But I ended up trading the truck in anyway for my new car. So, and it didn't even really deduct any value off of it. Like I thought that they were going to like try to give me less money in trade or something because there was the scrape on the side, but they didn't even say anything about it. And they gave me like the blue book value for the truck. So
yeah,
I took it. I wasn't going to complain.
Nice. So we have 6 minutes and who knows what's going to happen. I was going to talk about like the Roe versus Wade stuff, even though I didn't look too far into it. I think it's not finalized until next month, but it seems like it's gonna get overturned. I feel like abortion is a pretty big topic that we've talked about a bunch of times.
Yeah. And it's gonna be if they do overturn it, man, it's gonna get pretty ugly.
Yeah, I think it
like
is.
across I think you're gonna see a lot of protesting and probably riots that usually end up accompanying those large protests. And so it's gonna get pretty ugly if they overturn it. And it's fucking silly that they're overturning it. It's ridiculous, but
I think it's such a well-established and effective law that is very complicated to work with, morally speaking. But I think legally speaking, I think it was a good law. Because I think it's a very difficult thing to police, and you end up making would-be mothers criminals otherwise, and or they end up hurting themselves or other people by having backdoor abortions. But at least it'll be statewide, so a lot of states are still going to have it. People go to those states, and I feel like that's what it used to be. I think it used to be like that, where you had to go to the different state to do it. But I also think states should. I like state rights in general. I like more local government. If you're a really conservative city, a really conservative state, the problem is that no state is mono ideologues. Like there's no one. There's no, like in Portland and Oregon, it usually leans liberal, but there's so many conservatives in the area, it really pisses them off. It's not like a liberal state through and through. It's just that the city is. And so it's not like fair to the liberal people to overturn it, and it's not fair to the conservative people to have it. So it's really odd.
Well, it's the conservatives are trying to overturn it. The Roe versus Wade.
I know. I meant like.
Okay, sorry. I
meant legal abortion.
Okay.
The conservatives want.
Okay. I see what you mean.
Not have that, and the whatever. It's just not like you don't have monocultures in Texas. There's plenty of people in Texas who, because obviously Texas is going to be one of the first ones who makes it illegal in their state.
It's gonna be a lot of the southern, the southern states. I think will be the first ones to really, like Alabama, Texas. They're gonna really, embrace it right away. But But no, you're right. I mean, that's why there's like in rural Oregon, there's a lot of people in those counties that are petitioning to become a part of Idaho. Like they want Idaho to move its border over
so that they
to
can,
Oregon to
yeah,
encompass the rural areas of Oregon because Idaho votes more conservative. And so they're more interested in the issues of like farmers and things like that.
yeah,
Whereas Oregon, since the main amount of our population is in Portland and Eugene, Salem, like the bigger cities, like
those are all
that's where all
liberal.
the
Yeah,
population is. And it's typically more liberal leaning. So when it comes to voting rights, they're not really like people in the cities aren't concerned about farmers issues as much. And so I think it's become a big point of contention for um and typically farmers are usually more of like the right leaning conservative types.
yeah,
So anyway, there's like petitions for them to move the Idaho border further west to encompass those other areas so that they feel like their voices are kind of being heard more from a government standpoint when they're
yeah.
voting. So, which
I
makes
think
sense,
I think
but
redistricting based on being aligned with um like-minded folks makes sense. There's no point in having so many clashes within your voting system
mhm,
if a big group of people agree. If they agree, then they should get what they want, roughly speaking. um it's very tough though, um because sometimes people are fucking dumb and
yeah.
they shouldn't get what they want, so it's tough. I think the abortion issue, I'm not uh like a pro-choice absolutist. I think it's a really complex moral argument to just kill potential people. Um, but I think that it's better to have legal, safe abortion than to have women who are hunted and
Yeah.
jailed and then what does that do for the kid? It's just you're making them have this kid. It just they shouldn't have gotten pregnant, of course, but
Shit happens.
this is
Yeah.
modern life, and people just get pregnant all the time. And do you want to have kids that are unwanted, or do you want to have women in jail?
Mhm.
So it's going to cut off in a minute, so let's just hold it here. Stay tuned for
Hold it
part
here.
2. If you're listening to this, it shouldn't really matter. I'll just cut it together. But if you're watching it on YouTube, it's going to have to be 2 videos, I think. We'll see what happens. We'll have to either upgrade to
Yeah.
pro, which probably isn't that bad because or we'll come up with something new, maybe one of
What's
those
funny
other
is that we've been
programs.
using this for
Yeah,
like gosh, wait,
a year
like
almost.
almost a year, and it's never actually
Well,
timed us out
and I
before.
remember reading about it when we first
Hmm.
started, and I wanted to find out, and it said you would only get like 30 minutes or something. We're
Hmm.
only at like 20 minutes. So uh, I
Sons
don't
of
know.
bitch.
It's just gonna stop recording.
I'm sure it'll probably pop up telling you that recording
Yeah,
is
I'm curious.
ended.
Record this. Okay, we're recording this. So um, so it's gonna let us do this. But what it said was 40 minutes. But
Mhm.
we did not talk for 40 minutes, like at all. Like
I
maybe
think
we
it
did
was,
actually.
and I think it
We
was
did.
for because you and I were chatting before we started recording. I think it's just from the time that you call me,
Oh,
it starts the timer.
the
So
meeting that we're having
yeah.
has been 40 minutes because we started around 7, but
Hmm.
we've only been recording for 20. So it's not the recording that it cares
No,
about.
it's just the meeting
So
itself.
so we should have another 40 minutes here. So we'll have to remember that for next time, because 40 is a good amount. We can do two sets of 40.
Hmm.
When we're lifting them weights, 2 sets of 40, do them
Yeah.
push-ups. I went out to the store the other day just thinking maybe I'd get a like some barbells,
Hmm.
and do some more lifting, get my arms a little hotter and harder. Um, so we were talking about abortion. Yeah, I think people are gonna be up in arms. Women are not going to be happy about it. Liberals are not going to be happy about it. And it seems like just like out of nowhere, like who gives a fuck? Like just I guess there are states that really are against it, like Texas and probably
Well, what's
Utah.
interesting is, I mean, I'd have to go digging, but I was looking at, like, because when they phrase it, they make it sound like women are just willy-nilly getting abortions left and right, like they're using it as birth control, and it's like, I mean, maybe there's a couple women out there that continue to make poor decisions and have had more abortions than many would seem to, you know, be appropriate. But it's like it's like a tough choice. The few women that I know that have had abortions have told me that it's one of the hardest decisions that they had to make. And then they not only did they agonize over making the decision, but then they felt an overwhelming amount of guilt after they got it done. It's not like they got it done and were like, thank God, dodged that bullet. It's like, you know, there's a lot of depression and guilt that follows doing that, because I mean, whether you like it or like not, it is technically the termination of a potential life.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's, you know, it's a woman's right. My wife is a type 1 diabetic, and I think if she got pregnant, abortion would probably be a serious thing that she would consider, because of health reasons. You know, it's a big health risk. So it's like, do you want to put your life on the line to potentially have a child? And so, you know, but Vanessa and I are intelligent people, and we, you know, we always, she was on birth control for a long time, and we also used protection on top of that. And then when I turned 30, we had a sit down and we're like, do we want to have children? Because if we don't want to have children, I'm going to go get a vasectomy and then we're done with, like, we don't have to worry about this anymore. It's just the door is closed at that point. And so we decided that we really don't want to have children. So it was like a month after I turned 30, I went and had a fucking vasectomy done. So it's like, but obviously some people want to have kids, but you know, it's not the right time because they're trying to get through school or start a career or whatever. But I just don't like the way that it gets attacked, and that people make it sound like women are just destroying babies for fun. And that's not the case. It's not an easy decision to make.
Yeah.
And so when you make it illegal, what you're really making illegal is for women to have safe abortions, like safe, medically facilitated abortions, because people are they're going to have fucking abortions whether you want them to or not. You know, it happened in the past, and you know, you meet somebody in a fucking alleyway with a fucking wire coat hanger, and
yeah,
you'd probably die or have some serious health problems afterwards. So it's like, what you're just negating people's ability to have a safe procedure done. And I was looking at statistics, and like abortion rates are at their lowest in our country. Because it's been proven that if the more sex education you have with teenagers, and the, you know, the more options that you give them from a legal standpoint and health options, then things are going to be better. They're not going to be perfect, but they're better than not teaching anybody about anything and then saying that they, you know, you can't have an abortion. Sorry.
That's the thing about abortion, is there's literally no way to stop it. You can't actually stop people from getting abortions. And because of that, it's kind of like drugs in that you can't stop people from doing drugs. They will do drugs. It's something that is so, I mean, drugs are probably easier to access, but like, people are gonna get abortions. They're gonna eat weird pills. They're gonna hurt themselves. They're gonna fall downstairs. They're gonna. There's always been a once we understood as people that like babies come from bellies and that they're connected. People have been trying to get rid of those babies.
Yeah.
And it's going to happen underground, and it's that in and of itself, I think, is a really negative aspect of civilization. And there is a certain amount of sovereignty that we give people over their own bodies that can't be denied in the arguments about abortion. That kid is living in there, and that is taking up, and that is kind of the responsibility of the female. And so you can't like, I mean, you could forcibly make her have an abortion, but you can't forcibly make her have the kid until a certain point in the gestation, right? You can't like, you could like, I guess you could, you know, induce labor, you know, hold her down, make her have the baby. And then what are you going to do? Make her take care of the baby that she doesn't want? She's probably going to abuse it or kill it.
Yeah,
so you have to take the baby away.
A lot of people are pro-life until the fucking baby's born. They don't give a fuck. The baby can go in the system. They don't care at that point. You know, they're all altruistic about it.
Better?
Until
yeah. is it better for them to be in an adoption situation? And I think actually people should really be aware of adoption and how good that is for people, because a lot of people can't have babies and a lot of people have a hard time having babies. And you could give your kid up for adoption, and that's an option. I don't think there's anything really stopping people from doing that. I think anybody can give their kid up for adoption, but it just might mean that your kid has a terrible life as well. Or they could have a great life. It just really is a crapshoot. Um, and do you want to have people who, you know, I say, roughly speaking, in a really crude way, I don't want everybody having babies. So I also have like an interest in controlled and wanted pregnancies as another member of society that's going to end up paying for these kids at some point through schools or healthcare systems or through, whatever crimes they commit. So it's like there's this absolutist, you cannot kill a living human being regardless of where they are on earth. If they're in a belly, if they're on, you can't kill it. There's almost like there's no additional arguments to the anti-abortion stuff. It's just you don't get to kill it. And it's just not a nuanced approach to the actual problem of childbirth. There's so much more to children, to adulthood, to life, to even the concept of killing and all that I think it's just too simple to just say God doesn't like it or you're killing something. Like we kill stuff all the time. We kill animals all the time, and we kill people who we deem evil.
The children are innocent. The baby is innocent.
And children are innocent, but a lot of times abortion is not done because of sheer will. It's because of medical complications. And I don't think anyone has a big problem with that.
Well, and you got situation too where a woman was raped.
Yeah, I don't think anyone makes that argument.
Yeah.
But they do though. Some absolutists say if they've been raped, they should still have it. And I think
they are.
I think that actually is a consistent philosophy. If you think you can't kill babies and it doesn't matter how it was created, but I think that a rape is a very important thing to consider when you're talking about the situation of abortion. It's not something to flippantly say, too bad, give it up for adoption. Having that baby in your womb from this evil rapist who you had no choice over, I think patently torturous for the female to have that happen, both the rape and the child, and they're traumatized in general from it. So it's like very difficult to tell her not to get an abortion. But I do think there's no getting around the fact that you're killing something, or at least stopping life. Like it is alive.
That's the biological fact, right? That's what I mean earlier when we first started talking about it. I was like,
it just
making the decision to destroy a life or a potential life, just because if you get an abortion at like 8 weeks, it's like barely formed being. So it's like, and maybe you would end up, miscarrying. You don't know what's going to happen, but so it's like you're still looking at you're essentially choosing to destroy a potential life, or depending on how far along you are, potentially an actual life. I was actually just looking at like what the average, what the typical ban is, like how many weeks in before there, it's kind of like we can't do it, and it's 22 weeks, like it says 24 to or 22 to 24 weeks is like the max that they'll usually do an abortion still. And they said 98.7% of abortions in America in the last year were done before the 20th week. Only 1.3% were done between the 20th and 24th week. So most women, when they get abortions, are doing it before they're 20 weeks along.
I'm reading something on here from the CDC. It says in 2019, a total of 625,346 abortions were reported. The abortion rate was 11.4 abortions per 1,000 women aged 15 to 44. And the abortion ratio was 195 abortions per 1,000 live births. So for so it's about 10%, 11.4%. the reported abortions between 2010 and 2019 decreased 18%, 21 and 13% respectively. So from 2010 to 2019, it went from 21 to 13%.
So that's what I mean. Like the rates are going down, and I think a part of that is because you're giving people affordable access to medical care, and you're educating them. Like
I would
when people
assume.
know, they can make better decisions.
Well,
Not everybody.
and I think that the new generation has more because it has an easier life, so they're probably not engaging in as much risky behavior, because a lot of unwanted births come from risky people who are more risk. They don't know how to think ahead. They don't plan ahead. They just, I don't want to say dumb, but that's going to come up at some point anyway. But obviously we attach intelligence to decision making and planning, so it's kind of something to bring up.
Yeah.
But I think if you have it's hard to say that. That's rude. I'm not going to say that. I was going to say if you have a low enough IQ, I think abortion should be free and mandatory. But that's not true. I don't really think that.
Well, just because your IQ is low doesn't necessarily mean your baby will be dumb, but you're not going to help it learn anything, probably. No, it's a tricky thing. But what's interesting, right, is that the people who are typically anti-abortion are like the religious conservative types that are like in. A big part of conservatism is small government and the government not telling you how to live your life or what you to do. But this very thing is like basically them saying the government needs to be telling women that they can't do this with their own bodies. And so it's just kind of funny, right? That
and they're using religious arguments for it, which shouldn't be involved.
The moment somebody brings up God in an argument that has anything to do with my life, I'm like, it means fucking zero to me.
It's more to do with government. It shouldn't have anything to do with government.
It does. It shouldn't.
It should be secular and it should be rational. And the only real argument is that they consider it murder because you're willingly killing a life. And that's the tricky part, is because you can define life differently. And if it can't live outside the womb, it's very difficult to make the argument that it's actually independent life. It's obviously dependent, but does that make it? But like a baby is a dependent life as well, so you can't just go killing babies. So why can't you kill a baby, but you can kill a fetus that's like at a certain development?
Well, I think that's the argument.
Isn't that tough? It's a tough question.
It is
because it's killing. It's definitely killing.
But I think it's such a tough thing, and it's something that me personally will never have to deal with, right? Like I officially now never going to get a woman pregnant, whether I'm still with Vanessa in the future or whatever. Like even if she perished or our marriage dissolved and I ended up with somebody else, I'm not going to get that person pregnant because I can't do it anymore. So it's like now that I've like removed myself from the equation of this issue, I just stand on, I should think people should just be able to make the decision for themselves. It's their life. They're the ones that have to live with the consequences of whatever decision that they make. And so I don't feel like but I do agree with people, if your baby's, if you're like 6 months along, then you would have to make a really strong argument with me to explain why you're getting an abortion. Like if you after 6 months, you're suddenly like, I don't really want this thing now. It's like, but you kind of committed to it at this point. And so that's like, I think the really contentious thing too, is like, how late is too late? And so, but I mean, if you're like 4 months in and then you find out that your baby's going to have Down syndrome and it's a big health risk for you to have it, so you've made the tough decision to abort it. It's like, I understand that. I'm not going to question your decision, because that's tough. And it feels like you're just trying to make the best decision that you can for yourself. So
I think there's a couple of things there. It's like we're trying to give them credit for making a decision, but they also made the decision to get pregnant, because I think that people do not get pregnant on accident. They say it all the time, but everyone knows how babies are made after a certain age, like 15. If you're having a kid under 15, I'll give you a pass. But at about 15, you know what you're doing. You know that there's a chance to have a kid. You just don't know what that means.
Yeah.
And the consequence of that action is your life is very much going to be changed, either be by the trauma of having an abortion or by the trauma of having a kid that you're not prepared for, and the money and the stress and the fucking all this stuff. And it's like, we should also find a way to not let kids get out of jail for free if they make decisions. Like, this is a real world it's not school, it's not this fucking, oh, we'll get them next time type situation. Like, you chose to have sex, you chose to have a kid, you chose to have unprotected sex, the odds of having a kid are there.
Mhm.
There should be some alternative consequence that makes that a bigger deal for young people, which would be educational in parts. Like obviously, telling them about the negative consequences of abortion so that they don't get into that situation. Because really the idea would be to just have abortion not be wanted, whether it's legal or not. You just don't need it because everybody's having planned.
So I mean, in a perfect world where people are making all the correct decisions.
The resources and all that. And I think we'll never get to that world. And I think conservatives kind of want that world. They kind of want that religious, ideological, somewhat anti-biology world, because they kind of think that everyone is in control, and like you should only have babies when you're married, which has never fucking happened in the history of anything.
Isn't it funny that you just said that they want to live in a world where they have all the control, but then they believe in God, so theoretically they're just putting their lives
God's in control. So isn't God just allowing all these abortions if you believe in God? It's a very Christianity is so hypocritical. It's very difficult to logic your way into God said so. Because couldn't he just stop all the abortions?
Yeah, obviously. If he really cared, if it was a big deal, he would just snap his fingers, and suddenly there'd be. And
he could stop all the rape and stuff. It's a very complex. Like why go down that road? You kind of can't. You can really only go down the. Someone needs to advocate for children, and it's up to other adults to advocate for children. They believe that it's a child inside of a womb. If you believe that, then you can't let it die, so you make it illegal. And
that's what I was telling Vanessa about that, because we were talking about this, and she's an advocate for women's right to choose and all that, and I am too. But I was like, you have to look at it from their side, right? There are people on the opposing side who think in their minds, and they truly believe that what people are doing when they're having abortions is murdering innocent babies. Like, that's in their head, like that's what they think. So obviously a rational person would be like, oh, we need to stop people from murdering babies. They're defenseless, they're innocent, etc. So I was like, granted, you and I think about it differently because of science. So and that's what I was saying. It's like, if somebody's 6 months along, then I'm going to be like, I don't know about that.
See, and that's the tricky science question is, at what point do we give a fuck about it as a human being? Because we all started as, an egg fertilized. There's no getting around that. So philosophically, it's very difficult.
And that's when I always like to say, well, if they're worried about, like, if they're just worried about life, right? Life is just life. I was like, then none of those guys better be blowing loads into tissues, because sperm is just nothing but a bunch of millions of tiny little organisms with little wiggly tails swimming around.
Yeah, I don't think you'd call sperm life, though. Sperm can't live. They don't eat. They don't metabolize.
So just saying, you're technically destroying millions of babies every time you orgasm.
I think they do have problems with masturbation, and they definitely have problems with porn. Traditional Christians, are not really into any of that stuff. They want everything to be very puritanical and regimented and controlled. So what I think is the most important aspect is the practicality, the actual real world situation, which is a woman gets pregnant. She doesn't want it. She's going to do something.
Yeah.
What can we do at that point? Can we make, do we make it worse for her, or do we make it better for her and try to help her? It's a tough situation.
Yeah.
Because I kind of think people shouldn't do it. Like you shouldn't be fucking around so much that you're forcing, you're making doctors do these operations. You're having to spend money. You're gonna have some major, psychological trauma from it. Very likely. It's not, you don't get off scot-free. So I guess that's part of it, but
that's what I mean. It's like not a good situation anyway.
Yeah.
Like I said, there might be some, I'm sure there's an exception out there. There's probably some fucking woman out in the world who like gets off on abortions because everybody's got their fucking thing. But that would be like fucking 0.01%. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
So it's not like women are making these decisions for fun, and they're not just getting away without any kind of emotional damage.
Like it shouldn't be funded by government money. It should be private completely. And it should be decriminalized, as in you don't get in trouble for doing it, but it isn't strictly legal. It isn't something that is protected by the government, but it is also not something that you can get in trouble for. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, I was looking up
yeah,
Planned Parenthood, because I was like, is that federally funded? It is.
It is. That's why people fucking hate it. Yeah. And I think that that's actually a big problem. I think that if you're religious and you have a genuine problem with Planned Parenthood, you shouldn't be forced to give them money, but you shouldn't be forced to give the government money anyway, in my opinion. So,
well, and the flip side of that too is like, I think probably statistically, a lot of people who are getting abortions are probably people who wouldn't be able to afford an abortion if they didn't have something like Planned Parenthood to help them. You know what I mean?
And
because part of the reason why, because I think part of the reason why some people get abortions is because they can't even afford to take care of themselves. So it's like,
it's a lot of poor people, sure. And do you want poor people to have all these babies?
That's what I'm saying.
It's like, so like there's such a pragmatic, like it's kind of cold, but it's also kind of like a solution. It's the final solution.
It is. Yeah. Well, I mean, we talk about all the time how like the fucking world's overpopulated and people suck at raising kids, and it just creates this cycle of shitty people in the world. So it's like, I would encourage anybody that really does not want to have a child because they have no interest in it or have no way to raise it, then yeah, I would say get an abortion.
I think you just have to make a rational concession to the moral problem for me, because I think there's a huge moral problem with abortion, but I think that the pragmatism of the real world outweighs the moral issue in my head, because you have to take into consideration more than just a moral preference in this case. And I think that's why abortion is very difficult.
Then the moral thing too is it just keeps extending for me. Like when I think about it, if somebody is morally opposed to abortion, I'm like, but are you also opposed to us taking in children refugees from Ukraine as their home? Oh no, I can't hear you. I can't hear you.
Hello?
Oh, there we go.
Okay, there we go.
This is going to be a great episode of your editing skills.
This is the worst technical problems I've ever had doing a podcast. This is the third video, the third recording. Fucking Jesus Christ.
Maybe you should just do an audio one for this episode. Instead of just doing a bunch of hodgepodge video posts. You might just be like, this is an audio only.
Yeah, I might do an audio and then put like a screenshot up for YouTube or something. Not that it matters.
Yeah.
Fuck YouTube, right in the fucking butt. Right in the.
Well, if you want to do Zoom, it's there's like some offer where you can get it for like $750 a month for 6 months or something.
Oh, did you look at it?
Yeah, I was curious. It's like $15 a month, or you can pay like $120 for just a whole year of the Zoom Pro or whatever. But there's like it's like, get this special offer now, half off for 6 months. Anyway, as I was saying before I was rudely interrupted by technology, is the moral issue, like it just starts to spread out for me because, if you're so worried about babies, and then you have these refugees coming into our country from other, like either from Mexico or right now with Ukraine, but then people are opposed to helping those kids out. It's like, why are you so worried about the unborn children, but then you guys don't care about all these other children, or you don't want them coming into the country for X, Y, or Z reason? So it's like the moral thing can be kind of wishy-washy for me. um
Well, it's only one moral thing: killing.
mhm.
There's no, because they're not responsible for other people, like their upbringing, then it is interesting in that it's like a single-minded thing.
Mhm.
It's just you can't kill anything. You can't kill babies. Um, you can't kill unborn babies. You can't kill children, right? You can't kill innocent people. That's the moral thing. I think the other thing is, um, if it's religious, it's just that you can't have an abortion. Like, they don't care about babies. They don't care about how you treat them. You can't have an abortion. You have to have the child if you got pregnant, and that's
Yeah.
it. But the moral issue is just about killing. It, they don't, there's a separate issue of how to like, is it immoral to not be a great parent? Is it immoral to get a divorce? Is it immoral to, um, let your kids do certain things? Those are much more, um, kind of subtle questions, whereas the main moral question is whether you can kill someone,
Mhm.
you know and that's always been a big question, because it's not like the kid is committing suicide, um, which I don't have a problem with, morally speaking. I think emotionally there's issues with suicide, but
Yeah. Well, I mean, the issues really, I think, stem for the people you leave behind more so than yourself. You've removed yourself from the equation at that point. You don't matter
well, and
anymore.
it's sad, and it's a
Hmm.
symptom of all sorts of problems and dysfunctions, and we should try to get rid of suffering and dysfunction. Um, and kids can cause a lot of suffering and dysfunction. So
Yeah.
it's like just there's just got to be some exception to the general rule of not killing. Generally
Just
speaking, you don't get to kill stuff, and in this case, they get to do it.
can we just accept the reality that children are just little parasites that you have to love? Like
You don't have
that's
to.
well,
You tend
societally,
to.
you have to love them from a society's perspective.
They need to be protected because they
Yeah.
genuinely cannot protect themselves. And I think there is an obligation, not necessarily to protect all children, but there's an obligation to, um, to to protect those who cannot protect themselves,
Hmm.
which is another difficult question, really, morally. Like, I'm not sure exactly if there is an obligation to help anyone ever, but it feels like there is.
There
Um,
is, in so much as your consciousness can handle it,
well, it's like empathy. Like, you feel empathy, and that's what compels you to want to protect other people. But if you didn't feel that empathy, is that bad? Like, why does it matter if other people die?
I mean, it doesn't, because people die all the time. It only matters to the people that know you and care about you.
That's why, like empathy for specific people and emotional ties for specific things and specific people is what kind of drives all of this moral conversation. But universalizing it and just saying absolutist kind of things
Hmm.
is very, like, you're just saying it. There's not really a lot of proof behind it.
Yeah.
I just don't like it. Well, yeah, that's what you're saying.
Yeah.
It just doesn't
Sure.
go very far. It's just not a very
It's
solid
like,
argument.
I don't like abortion, but I also recognize that it's a necessity. I mean, but it sucks that
Yeah.
it sucks that people are put into positions where they have to
Yeah.
make that decision.
There's
So,
just nothing like it.
mhm.
Abortion is so singularly different than almost any other activity, any other action that humans can do. that it's just a very it just creates a lot of controversy and a lot of confusion, a lot of weirdness, over definitions of things. Um, so I'm willing to concede my qualms about the chopping up and vacuuming out of a potential life that could have been really good, and it could have been to the glory of God, and you just smushed it up and vacuumed it out. Which I think is another educational thing. I think if it is a science issue, then the science of abortion should be taught to kids as well.
Yeah.
Or to sexually active kids or whatever. Like, they should know that if they get an abortion, it means sometimes chopping up little legs and little bodies and vacuuming them out.
Yeah, you see pictures of venereal diseases in health class.
Yeah.
I watched
it's real.
That's we watched a video of a woman giving birth in my health class.
I saw
fucking
that too.
horrifying, but it's like, show it. Just be honest with people. Like, this is what happens. Like, this is the reality.
I think so. I think that's part of it for sure. So I hate
that people use that as like a reason. It's like, oh, you're just scaring them. It's like, no, we're showing them the truth. Like, this is the reality.
Well, for one, kids should be fucking way scareder than they are.
Yeah.
Because there's way more going on in the world than they fucking have any clue about. Kids today, I'm sure, are the most fucking pampered, especially at middle America. Like, these kids, they don't have a fucking clue what's going on in the real world.
That's not true.
I didn't know until I started living in it.
They're on TikTok a lot. They see what's going on out there.
Yeah, that's a very
whatever new dance. It must be so wild for children these days compared, like, because when I was a kid, internet, I didn't have the internet till I was like 12 in my house. And now it's like, I see like 8-year-olds running around on cell phones watching TikTok videos and recording themselves doing stuff and putting it on the internet. And I'm like, that is fucking bizarre, man. It's weird to think about how different it is right now.
You know what's sad is that these girls suck at dancing. And that's is the tragedy. Frustrating in this situation. They're just like, they just do spastic fucking movements that are barely to the beat, and they think it's fucking, they're just like fucking, like, it's fucking retarded. It's so bad. What's cool?
TikTok, man.
I know.
That was glorious.
I know. If you didn't see it, I did a thing. But like, some of them are just so awkward and bad at dancing, but they're cute, and that's it. That's what they have going on. Yeah. And it's like, stop it. You need to practice. Please practice more. Or pretend like, or at least have a disclaimer that says, like, I kind of suck, but hey, I'm trying. You know what I mean? It's so sad to watch them fucking try. And then you have like real legit dancers, and you're like, that's dancing. That's wonderful. I enjoy a talented dance to watch. I enjoy watching dancing. I enjoy dancing, but I am not good at it. And I'm not trying to be a TikTok star because of my shit dancing.
You're just trying to appreciate the art form. So when you're at the Spice Gentlemen's Club, you have a great appreciation for what the ladies are doing up there on the stage. Absolutely.
There's good and bad pole dancers. And then there's like a you flip up, on Instagram or fucking, what is it? Instagram stories or YouTube shorts. I don't actually have TikTok, but it's the same thing. And it'll just be like a video of like 4 seconds of like somebody's head going this way. And you're like, what the fuck is that doing there? That's not a thing. It's so bad. The editing is horrible on tons of them. Like, they're just shit filmmakers, and I just watch all their videos. It's highly addictive, and it's a problem for me.
That's why I just don't engage with any of it, because I don't want to end up. That way I can stay on the outside of it and make fun of it without also being a guilty party that's involved.
I'm very guilty, and I'll be looking at it for like half an hour and tell myself, stop it.
What the fuck?
And then 20 minutes later, I'll finally stop doing it. But I'm getting better. I'm starting to like curb it and tell myself, like, you're wasting time, dude. Like, this is worse than any other thing that you could be doing to waste time. You're not even being entertained most of the time. it's not like you watch a fun YouTube video for 20 minutes and you like are engaged. It's like 90% of them are shit and you're still watching them for no fucking reason.
This is all the same. Like, this is all like what you're talking about is the exact reason that I just deleted my like Twitter accounts and stuff, because I would just find myself like doom scrolling on Twitter for 30-40 minutes, just getting like just depressed about the state of the world, and like watching as all these people are fucking nitpicking at each other and arguing over, and I'm just like, I can't. Like one day I was like, if I just why did I do this for 40 minutes? I could have fucking read 4 chapters of a book or something and like engaged with something, and and so yeah, that's why I just abandoned all of it. I was like, I don't fucking care about any of this.
I think the little 9-second dopamine fucking burst that I get, for some reason that engages me more than any other thing on
the planet.
Social media. Like I don't look at Facebook, I don't look at Twitter, I don't try to read what everybody fucking has to say, but for some reason like I watch sitcoms and comedies and TV and movies, and I watch YouTube mostly for educational purposes, even though I'm not being educated much. But those stupid little fucking 10-second things, for some reason, there's like 1 out of 10, one out of every 10 is funny as shit, and it fucking gets me going, and it's a problem. So I gotta be careful with that. I'm trying to recognize some things I'm doing, again, that are not super healthy.
Isn't it sad how easy it is to just fall into unhealthy and bad habits? It's interesting how like all these things that are really not great for us that we just can't help fucking doing, or just getting absorbed into and can't break away from it.
You just create little habits around things, and you give yourself excuses, and then you're like, well, it's just this, it's just this harmless, behavior.
Yeah, it's just,
and then you're like, I'm doing this every day, and it's wasting time. It's not like horrifying.
Time's that one currency you don't get back, my friend. We all waste it, and it's the one thing you shouldn't waste in life, because you can't get a refund. Unless we develop really advanced medical technology in the future, so we can like replace our organs with cloned organs or robotic organs that have a really high efficiency rate, and then you actually do buy yourself some time back because you're able to prolong your life with science.
It'll be interesting if we actually start to solve some of the problems with aging and with deterioration and stuff. It's like a fantasy that we all think is going to be in the future, but
I think what we need to do is take all these aborted fetuses and then just treat them like a fountain of youth, man. It's right there.
Just drink them stem cells. I think we kind of
suck it down.
I think we do take stem cells from babies, though.
Yeah, that's why a big problem why people don't want them doing stem cell research, because they do take them from fetuses. So but fuck it, that baby's dead. What
stem cell research
serve something? You know what? I'm gonna say something. I'm gonna stand by it. I bet you the scientific benefits of that dead fetus outweigh anything, probability speaking, that baby actually would have done with its life had it lived.
Wow. That's terrible.
Generally speaking.
But isn't that almost true if we just
yeah.
Wouldn't that be true if we just sort of killed people? Like we could get some scientific use out of it.
Yeah, but we're not getting stem cells.
That's true. You don't have a lot of stem cells.
I mean,
stem cell science, stem cell research, stem cells in general, I think are very powerful magic. I think there's going to be a lot going on with these stem cells. It seems like that might be a key to some pretty funky biology.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm just saying, like, even for myself, like, what have I really contributed to the world? Some books that very few people have read. Like, I could die tomorrow. People I know would be sad, but the world as a whole wouldn't give a fuck. So it's like, had I just been aborted and then my fetus got turned into some stem cell research that saved some fucking amazing scientific mind that had Stephen Hawking. What if my stem cells could have saved Stephen Hawking's life and like given him his fucking body back? And he could have lived and fucking discovered some other scientific marvel. It's way more value than what I could have provided actually living out my life. So just saying.
I think you should be regretful and sad.
Yeah, I
You
am.
should be penitent.
Time to go kill myself because I could
Yeah.
have saved Stephen
Well,
Hawking.
you can't kill yourself now with no stem cells. That's the main reason people shouldn't kill themselves, is because there's no value in it. You valueless fuck. You're no
Other
value
than
alive and you're no value
other,
dead.
there is value in them killing themselves, and that
Organs.
they're freeing up resources for other people,
Organs. And their organs.
and their organs can be donated. So, I mean,
Yeah.
I think what we really need to do, in my very
Humble.
dour, pessimistic outlook, is we all need to stop placing so much value in our own lives, because you're not that valuable in the grand scheme. I'm sorry to say it, but very few of us really matter. So kill yourself, donate your organs to somebody who does matter, and we'll thank you for your service.
Or fuck the group. Fuck the group. The individual is what matters. You be happy. Fuck everybody else. If you're happy getting an abortion, do it. Fuck the rules. If you're happy doing drugs, do it. Fuck the rules. You don't owe nobody nothing. You don't got to give your organs away. You don't got to go to work. You don't got to do shit, son.
Freedom. It's a good outlook too.
Yep.
That's a much happier life than the one that I sketched out.
Well, you're ago. Like, if you don't like produce some outlandish scientific improvement for all of humanity, then you might as well be dead. But
if you don't write like a novel that changes people's lives and their whole perception of how the world is, then fucking kill yourself.
If you don't donate to Elon Musk, kill yourself, because he's the only one that's going to save Earth.
Oh, that's what I wanted to ask you, if you had any thoughts on his Twitter buyout, or I guess potential. It hasn't like officially gone
Sounds super fun. Why not? Fuck it. It's all fucking silly anyway. Like, he's got tons of money. I could give a fuck about Twitter. So here's the real pressing concern. Okay. Here's the real concern with Twitter. Is the porn gonna stay?
Because that's what you're worried about.
Tons of porn on Twitter, that's why it's like, ridiculous. Just like people. I could show you right now.
Oh wow!
Way more porn than you're going to get almost anywhere else.
You know what's funny is
you're not getting it on Facebook. You're not getting it on Instagram. You're not getting it on TikTok. But Twitter is like if you had the New York Times and there were 10 pages of really serious debate, and then the last 900 pages was just tits, ass, cum shots, twats.
Wow.
Cunts.
I was on Twitter for years.
It's hilarious.
I just never thought to even look for porn on Twitter, I guess. So I didn't even realize that once the door is open, man, it's fucking open. It floods in.
It's the least legitimate fucking thing in the world. If anything, it's free porn. And there's some people who argue about stuff, but if you go on there, I don't know even how I found it originally, but I have well,
I imagine once you follow like one
a
account,
feed,
then it's like, oh, if you like this chick, you're gonna love it.
But I don't,
before you know,
I don't get it in my normal feed. I don't get like porn in my feed, right? Because if I look at my Twitter, it's normal. Like, I follow normal people.
There's like a dark side.
There's a dark tab. It's all flesh colored and like bloodied.
Oh, God.
From too much masturbation.
Oh, you're all chafed.
But there's a thing called lists, and you can add people to lists. But what you can do, this is hilarious. I've never talked about this before. But what you can do is you can add people to lists without following them. Like, you don't follow them, but the list does. So you can have a list of people that you don't follow, but you do follow them on the list.
Like ghost following them?
It's ghost following them, actually. Like, if they looked at their followers, you wouldn't be on there. But if they look at the list that they're on, they would be on that. It's a fucking silly thing. And what that means is that there is just tons and tons of porn on Twitter. Like videos, photos, GIFs, all the stuff. Advertisement. Wow. It's where cam girls advertise. And I think that's part of like why I think Twitter is just fine. It's just another thing. It's just another fucking media outlet for individuals to have access to communication. It's not special. There's nothing uplifting about Twitter. There's nothing powerful. There's nothing helpful. There's nothing more useful than any other communication device.
So what you're telling me is if Elon Musk removes the ability to do lists and removes the porn off Twitter, you might go bomb a Tesla factory.
No, I'm
That's like
not
kind of
gonna
what I'm
bomb
getting
anybody.
at.
I'm just saying that it would lower my value of Twitter. It would take away a avenue of degenerate fucking observation of mine. But I think that's what's funny about Twitter is that people have this elevated view of its importance in society, and it's like, okay, but then what about all this fucking porn? Like, you think that's okay? Like, you don't have porn on Instagram. You have like almost porn, but people aren't straight fucking on Instagram, and you can't see tits and pussies.
But you can on Twitter lists.
You can't on Twitter, just straight up, like look it up.
Oh, okay.
Find a porn
Yeah, like
star.
I said, I
look
never
her
thought
up.
to yeah, I just never thought about that. I never even thought to like try looking it up for some reason. I think it's just because in my mind I would immediately assume that they wouldn't allow that on the,
You
like they
wouldn't
would
think.
edit it or something.
You
So that's
wouldn't
why I
think.
just never even thought to look it up.
You wouldn't think.
Yeah, I think people are like talking about it. Some people are all excited that he's buying it. Other people are fucking like leaving Twitter over it. And it's like, realistically, there's probably going to be a couple little policy rule changes, and then it's just going to function the same. It's not like Elon Musk is going in there and coding shit himself. It's going to be the same people who work at Twitter.
He's mostly talking about like not banning people as much and like not canceling people as much. He just wants people to be able to go on there and say whatever they want. And cool, do it. I don't care. People already pretty much do that. And I don't read any of these idiots fucking writings. I'm not getting my news from fucking Twitter. And I think generally speaking, everyone overestimates their ability to like understand what other people are doing and talking about. Everyone thinks they're so smart. Calm the fuck down, people. You're gonna die. You're not that smart. You barely weren't aborted.
You were barely not. I want to get a T-shirt that says that.
You don't even have
barely
stem
not
cells.
aborted.
You're not even worth the stem cells you don't have anymore. I just think everyone's so self-righteous in general. Like another thing that makes people feel self-righteous is like, ugh, eat my balls. It's not good for the world for everyone to think they're so fucking right and smart.
Yeah. We were all just barely not aborted. That's my new favorite thing.
Yeah. I wish
I'm not even worth the stem cells I left behind.
Yeah, you're not worth the stem cells that you don't even have to offer. I think there's probably a shirt that says, I wish you were aborted or something.
Like, I wish you'd just been converted for your stem cells.
Yeah. Or I wish your parents were aborted. Like, fuck all of it.
Yeah. Let's go back a couple generations. Let's really just wipe the family tree. Let's break some branches off that bitch.
Just chop it down.
Yeah, let's go right for the fucking trunk, man. I'm over it.
Your whole family line is gone, bitch. And guess what? Doesn't matter.
Yeah, the world's still the same. Look at that.
There's no ultimate fucking purpose in life other than my willpower. What I want goes. And you know what I want? To play some fucking Elden Ring.
Oh, somebody's got plans.
Talk about addictions. That's an addiction that I can accept.
Hey, it's you accept it, you know that you have an addiction, so that's good. That's important. As long as you're not on here trying to convince everybody that you're not addicted to it. I don't want you to live in some kind of
delusion,
false reality. Yeah, delusion.
I figured out what gaslighting means finally. It means trying to convince someone that they're like wrong, but like they were never right. Like that they were like that their version of things is wrong. Like their vision of reality is actually wrong because it has to do with a play in the 30s where a guy convinced his wife or something that what she saw really happen didn't really happen, and it's the play is called Gaslight.
Oh yeah, it's a 1944 film too. Gaslighting is a colloquialism loosely defined as making someone question their own reality, originating from the 1944 film Gaslight.
It's the most overused and incomprehensible term ever. Like it's so complex of a concept, but they're using a 1930s reference that no one should know. Like, don't call it gaslighting. Call it, I don't know, lying. Like, it's just lying. If you're
It's
trying to
interesting
make
how
somebody
like
think their shit's not real, you're just lying to them.
I feel like sometimes like a term like that just sort of gets introduced into
It's
the
a meme.
social
It's a meme.
ether, and then yeah, people just glom
It's
onto it, and then it's
yeah.
used everywhere, and you're
It's
like, what the fuck does this even mean?
yeah. It's like a modern example of how words are created, or
Mm-hmm.
new concepts are verbalized. Like, we need a shortcut for a concept, and we use a term like gaslighting. I just think people use it um so much that it's like, you're gaslighting me, you're gaslighting me. Like, no,
Really?
they're just
Am I
arguing
convincing
with
you
you.
that your whole reality is a fucking lie, you
Yeah.
weak-minded fuck?
Which is funny, because everyone should be fairly skeptical of their own conception of reality. You shouldn't imagine that you have a perfect version of reality in your head. You should be skeptical of your own reality. So when somebody questions it, you should be able to express yourself and
Yeah.
explain yourself, and be willing to you know accept that you might be wrong about certain
It
things.
sounds like you're trying to gaslight me right now into believing that I should
Yeah,
also not believe myself.
you should be very skeptical of anything you say, and you should probably run it by me first,
Oh, okay. Perfect.
before you put
Good
it
thing
out
I
into
have
the
your phone
world.
number. I'll just text you.
You do have my phone
I
number.
think I'm thinking about making this decision. What do you think?
Yeah.
Do you think this fits?
Am I too fat?
Is this fitting
Um,
in with my life goals? Because I can't tell anymore. Tell
it's
me.
like if somebody's morbidly obese and I tell them that it's unhealthy, then they're like, you're just gaslighting me. You know, reality. And you're like, no, I know what I'm
The
talking about. You're
reality is
just way too fat.
you're knocking on diabetes type 2's door. That's the
Yeah.
reality.
Diabetes type 2's door. I think we're gonna have to call it, because at some point we're gonna run into another technical difficulty that I'm gonna have to fucking deal with. So let's go ahead and do some recommendations and see if we can make it through the rest of this fucking stuff here.
Okay, well, I haven't gotten the 20-minute warning yet, so I think we should be good for just a little bit longer. So my recommendation is a film from 2000.
Oh my!
I'd never heard of it. It was on I'm a fan of the website Bloody Disgusting, because I'm a huge fan of like horror movies and books and games and everything, horror in general. And they is on this list of like 10 horror movies that like everybody needs to see, that's now available on streaming or whatever. So I saw this movie. It's called Uzumaki. It's a
How do you spell that?
It's UZU. Let me double check. Yeah, Uzumaki, Uzumaki. But it's a Japanese horror film from 2000, and it is fucking bizarre. Like, it's creepy and weird, and basically the premise is that it's about this kind of small Japanese town where people slowly start becoming obsessed with Uzumaki, which is a Japanese word for spiral. So like spiral patterns, like they become just obsessed with it, and it gets fucking crazy. I don't even really want to like explain too much more, because kind of part of the magic of watching the film is just seeing where it goes, because it is bonkers. It's like one of those movies that you're like trying to like really grasp what's happening, but you can't look away because of just how fucking bizarre and weird it is. But it's based off of a manga, which is like a Japanese comic for those who don't know what a manga is.
It's like a
But
Japanese graphic novel.
yeah. And they did the movie like before the graphic novel series was over, so like the movie has like its own ending and like explanation for things that I guess is different from the manga, or manga if you're an asshole. I don't know how you pronounce it. Anyways, but I like it's worth checking out. It's just a very bizarre and interesting film. And it's kind of creepy because of how weird it is. It doesn't like rely on any kind of jump scares. It just creates this very unsettling atmosphere, and you're just watching this town slowly lose its mind over something that seems kind of simple.
Yeah,
so it's totally worth
reminds
watching.
me of Numbers.
Kind of, yeah. Where
With
it's like they get
was it Jim
fixated
Carrey?
for the number 23. That's what you're thinking.
Or number 23,
Yeah.
the number 23. Or
It's kind of
like
that same thing where it's like they start seeing spirals and everything, and yeah, it's really good though. I like recommend it to anybody.
There was a 2000 movie, an American version, I think, just called Spiral.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And then I think you watched the original Japanese.
I would definitely watch the Japanese one, because that's the one we watched with like subtitles and everything, and it was fucking good. I really I want to watch it again, I feel like there's like more things I could probably pick up on if I watched it a second time. But it's really good. So, and I'd never heard of it before. It was just, I saw it on this list, and it was like one of the few movies on this list of horror films that I'd never even heard of. And so we watched it. It was on Prime Video. You can
Nice.
stream it right now. So I recommend people check it out if you're into Japanese horror or just want to watch something that's really unique and off kilter and kind of creepy.
Nice. My recommendation is the new movie that just came out recently called The Northman.
Ooh, I
Which is
actually almost recommended that, but I decided.
Did you see it?
Yeah.
Yeah, we should talk about it maybe next time. We have exactly 6 minutes before the timer turns off, and I'm not doing this again. So I'm sorry, but that's the end of the fucking show in about 6 minutes, regardless of anything we have to say.
Okay.
I'm not turning my computer on again. I don't know what happened to my computer. It literally turned off because I had it plugged into a power outlet or a what is it called? A fucking
You'll get there.
surge protector thing.
Oh, okay, there we go.
And my other device is plugged into it and it's working, but the laptop wouldn't work. So I plugged it into the wall and now it's working, and I can. It's so stupid. Everything sucks. But I recommend the Northman. It's got a Skarsgård.
Yeah, is it Alexander Skarsgård?
And it's directed by a guy named Eggers.
Robert Eggers.
Robert Eggers.
Yeah, he did The Witch and The Lighthouse before.
Yeah, I don't know those movies at all.
Oh, The Witch is fantastic. The Lighthouse is fucking weird. Like, really
is The Witch
weird.
a newer like horror movie?
The Witch, it came out in like 2015, I want to say.
Okay.
And then I think The Lighthouse came out in like a few years after, like 2018, maybe. It's like this is his third movie, I think.
Yeah.
Total.
It's weird. It's funky. It's very well done. It's very authentic to Viking lore, Viking myth, Viking tradition. They had a bunch of actual anthropologists and archaeologists on the shoot to make it things as realistic as they could. And I really like the mythology that they introduce, and they do it in a way that is like very real to the character. It's like almost fantasy in that like some real weird shit happens, very supernatural shit happens, but they don't put it like, they don't make it like it really happened. They make it like these characters believe that this is what's happening.
Yeah.
They do a really good job of introducing it in a grounded way that kind of shows how mystical thinking used to be in this particular time period. And they have a lot of the standard Viking tropes, but in new ways. And it's got a funky ending that is a bit maybe unsatisfying, but still good. It's always hard to end anything.
Endings are hard.
Yeah,
they are
and
tough.
it's not very predictable. It's kind of like going for like this kind of Braveheart thing where there's some revenge, and then it's got kind of have you've seen Valhalla Rising or whatever? It's got
Valhalla
kind of
Rising was a big inspiration for Low End of the Mist also. Like that was like a movie that I really enjoyed.
That movie
I pulled elements from.
Way more obscure, but way good. Like very visually stunning and very confusing. But it's not as, it's much more story oriented than that, but it's got kind of like that kind of creepy vibe to it. It reminds me of the show Vikings, but just more grounded. Skarsgård is really, really good in it, and so is the female. I forget her name.
Anya Taylor-Joy.
Yeah, Anya. Yeah, she's very good in it. It's very.
She's
very
in the.
dramatic.
She's in The Witch also. She's
really?
one of the main characters in the. You should at least watch The Witch.
Yeah,
because it's like a horror. It's like a folk fairy tale horror movie. It's not like it's not a traditional horror movie with like jump scares and all this stuff. It's like a really. I think you would enjoy The Witch because it's a great period movie. It's like like 1700s.
I like The Witcher. It's a little different.
Just add a couple extra letters on the end there.
Yeah, so I thought it was good. I think it's worth watching. And I kind of want to watch the Batman again, actually.
Yeah, it's on HBO Max these days. If you
I'm still too cheap to buy extra
okay
services,
or just buy the movie. I think you can buy it now. At least on, I know it's on video on demand. I don't know if it's on Blu-ray or whatever yet. But.
There's a movie that I want to watch with the guy from Better Call Saul. What is his name?
I can't think of his name either. Wow.
He's got a cool name. Bob
Bob Odenkirk. There it is. Yeah. As soon as you said Bob,
called Nobody. I really want to watch that. I heard that's.
Oh,
really
you haven't
good.
seen that? Yeah,
I haven't seen it yet, but I heard it's really good. I didn't want to see it because I couldn't get around Bob Odenkirk being a new version of frickin' John Wick.
So I will say it's kind of like John Wick, but more realistic in that he he's not like this invincible boogeyman. Like he's just a guy who has a history of doing some shit and he's kind of retired from doing it and is like has a family, but then kind of gets pulled back into it through some.
It's very similar to the one with I suck at pulling things out of my ass. I'm good at putting them in there.
There's just moments in the movie where you think like, oh, he's just gonna lay waste to these guys and beat the shit out of them, and he like kind of gets his ass kicked also, but he also beats them up. But it's so you're like, oh,
more realistic.
Like, he's cool, but he's also not like a superhero like John Wick. It's like he gets injured here and there, but he like has this
he's a fucking
supernatural skill at murdering people. So
and he never gets shot.
Great.
Yeah, I want to watch Nobody. So anyway, we've only got another little bit to finish up here. So thanks for listening. And write us an email to fleetingthoughtspodcast@gmail.com. Go to fleetingthoughtspodcast.com, which will redirect you to joesnotesblog.com. So it's just a trick. I'm gaslighting our website.
Oh, there you go.
You think
Thoughts is just your blog.
It just goes to the blog.
Exist.
Yeah, if you go to fleetingthoughtspodcast.com, it redirects to joesnotesblog.com. But if you go to joesnotesblog.com/podcast, it goes to fleetingthoughtspodcast.com. What? It's an Easter egg. It's a game. I created a video game.
There you go.
Called I Need to Get More Fucking Page Views. So tell your friends.
Page view count.
Tell your stupid friends. Give us your dumb views on abortion just to keep the conversation fucking going. That's all that matters.
Yes.
We
really want to hear your opinions.
TikToks. What's your favorite Twitter porn? Yeah.
I'm just gonna leave this podcast by saying don't watch the Pentaverate. It's a waste of your fucking time.
Oh, thank you for telling me that.
Actually, you might like it. I don't know. If you like Mike Myers,
the problem is I like him, but I haven't liked the last few things he's done.
You're not gonna like it. I didn't even laugh once. It was bad.
I think his humor just is for children or something. It's not good.
It's like he just like wouldn't put it. It's like a show that just it's stupid. Like the whole premise is dumb, which is fine. It's a comedy. But he's like just doesn't push it far enough. It's like he just like it holds too much back. And anyway,
it's not like irreverent enough or something.
Yeah, it's not. It feels like a fucking show that should have been made in the 90s, and now here it is.
He's stuck in the old comedy.
Yep.
All right, that's gonna do it.
All right.
It's got to end sometime.
Yep. And now, goodbye.
Bye.
Welcome to the show.
Welcome, hello. So I just kept dying right there, trying to get my souls, trying to kill everybody, and I just kept dying. I probably should have leveled up a little bit more.
How else will you see man's thoughts unless you crack open his skull and peer into his brain?
I don't want to listen to Elden Ring again. And nobody cares, you fucking nerds.
No. Depends on if you rub it on your skin, brother. Arr.
Spoilers for the Batman, just for people listening.
Yeah, we'll spoil it. We don't have problems spoiling things. Just be aware.
I think that with the pandemic, it just sort of shook things up.
They done spook Buddha over into Tibetan languager.
Yeah, it's not that they nerfed the sword; it's that I invested all these components into it, and I built my character around the sword.
But she had alopecia. Go to fleetingthoughtspodcast.com. Sounds yummy.